What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and I'm here to ask an important question, which is obviously going to vary person to person and everyone's individual experience and choices and tastes and whatnot. But I came across a discussion recently that kind of threw something in my mind as well. A lot of people were talking about something, and I was looking at it and I was like, what makes this worth it to X person, or this makes what is required for this person to justify it. So it made me think to my own personal experience and my own collections and whatnot and my own history, and it makes me wonder the main question: what do you require, or how do you justify if a console or a handheld even as well is worth it? Now, what I mean by that is, let's take the Wii U for example. I'm using that as the main one because it's the easiest one to use as an example that basically everyone knows. The common perception of the Wii U is that it has very few games. Now, obviously, that can be taken as one or two different ways, but the main perception is the Wii U has very little in the way of third party support during its initial release, and then it had almost no third party support for several years. So essentially, in comparison to other equivalent platforms like, say, the Xbox 360 or PS3, despite being from a different generation, or the Xbox One and PS4, the huge difference is, or the huge disparity in the number of games, basically. So, the Wii U, for example, most Wii U owners probably have very few games. Now, there will be the Nintendo fans. There's probably a couple of people banging on the keyboards already in the comment section below, already saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I have 96 Wii games or Wii U games. Good for you. I'm not going to take that away from you at all. But the common conception of the Wii, or conception, would that be the right word? Perception of the Wii U is that there's very few games for it. And I look back on the Wii U, and not just this video isn't specifically talking about the Wii U, that's just my main example. But let's go back within the last 2 or 3 generations. Let's say we're talking handheld wise, and we'll go from the 7th generation onwards. So that's looking at the Wii, the 360, the PS3, the PC, the Xbox One, the Wii U, the PlayStation 4, and various other handhelds and things like that. So, what makes a purchase of a console justified to you? I know for me, I'm very weird. I usually like to look at them as, even if I buy it day one and there's very little or almost nothing to play on it, I think of it as an investment. An investment because I'm going to be buying it anyway. Sure, there could be a console revision or a price drop or a bundle or something like that by the time something big and important that I really want comes out, but I just look at it as an investment. Sure, it's a little bit impulsive. It's a little bit, as I like to call, BoJack Horseman-y. I have no self control and I hate myself. So it's a little bit of that too, and a little bit of the instant gratification. Let's go, for example, the Xbox 360. I didn't buy the Xbox 360 at launch. I looked at what was available for it and I said, I wouldn't mind playing some of these things, but my current computer cannot, at the time at least, could not play Oblivion properly. So I was thinking, you know what? I don't think I could play Oblivion at all. So I told myself, I'm just going to get a 360 in a couple of months when Oblivion comes out. I ended up getting it a little bit before that because I played Condemned Criminal Origins. My friend had a 360 and he had Condemned, and it was so damn good I had to buy a 360 to borrow it off him. Anyway, that's beside the point. The 360 was my main console of the 7th generation. I have over 100 retail 360 games. I believe it's about 106, and that's excluding download only titles, and I even have some retail titles that I actually bought on disc that I eventually bought a download copy of simply because they'd be on sale for an exceptionally cheap amount, and it was just so much easier than getting a disc the whole time. So that was definitely a worthwhile purchase for me. The 360, as I mentioned, was my primary console of the 7th generation. All my friends played on Xbox 360 as their primary console as well. So we all played Battlefield 3 on there. We all played Gears of War on there. We all played Call of Duty on there. We all played there's so many games, there's too many to mention, but we all played them together on there in Xbox Live party chats the whole time, doing whatever. So that's easily a justifiable purchase for me. On the flip side, when you look at the PlayStation 3, because the Xbox 360 was my platform of choice, as well as it generally had the better, generally not 100% of the time, better performing multi-platform titles on the 360 as well. Naturally, they all became my purchases on the 360. The PS3 for me is almost all exclusive titles. I've added a couple more to it since the we'll call it the close of the 7th generation. I've added a couple of, special edition purchases that were dirt cheap, and, collector's editions and things like that. But my PlayStation 3, my proper PlayStation 3 library, by the end of the console generation, was 29 games. And that's not including stuff like, say, downloadable titles in the sense of like PS1 games and PS2 games and, throwaway PS3 titles and things like that. 29 actual retail games. And having said that, I've had two PS2s. I bought a two PS3s, I should say. I bought a PS3 on day one. I got it in work. Actually, technically, it was day -1, or would it be -2? Whatever way you want to look at it, because we got them in 2 days early before work, or before they actually released, to have them in stock. And I bought one there and then. We put it through the system and all that, or did we? I can't remember. It was 10 years ago. I barely remember it anyway. But the problem is we didn't sell games. So I had a PS3 with nothing to do for it for 2 days. It was connected to my TV and I couldn't do anything with it. It was kind of funny. But I ended up eventually, my PS3 was used very rarely. It was used maybe once every couple of months when a new PS3 exclusive title came out, and I got around to it there. My PS3 did break eventually, and I had to buy a new one. So I have two PS3s, and they're obviously both expensive. But the quality of some of the games I got in there, despite the huge outlay of two PS3s, I don't consider the PS3 to be a waste of money, and I consider it now down the line justified, so I'm not too worried about that. A couple of quick other ones as well. I have 37 retail Wii games. Again, the Wii was dirt cheap, so, well, it was relatively cheap anyway, even though I barely got to play it because in a similar situation to the PS3, I would only turn on my Wii whenever a Nintendo Wii exclusive title came out, which was once every couple of months if you were lucky. So you get my point anyway on there. Wii U, same deal. This one is a bit more glaring because of the example I used and the public perception of it as well. So the Wii U, I have 17 retail games of Wii U, on the Wii U, many of which I have not finished, for the simple reason is some of them are unfinishable, I mean, with the likes of Smash Brothers, things like that. You've got, say, I've never completely finished the HD remaster Zelda games, but again, they're HD remasters. It arguably doesn't count. But the point is, I have 17 retail Wii U games. For a console that I bought about a month after launch, I bought a Wii on day one, by the way, and I bought a Wii U about a month after launch. I think it launched in maybe November, December. I'm pretty sure I picked it up in like the first or second week of January. So roughly a month after launch, several years later, what are we? We're just over 4 years later. Well, 4 and a bit years later. And I have 17 Wii U games. Now, the Wii U is a strange console for the simple reason is it was mishandled and let down and performance-wise in so many different ways. But I'm not here to talk about that. What I am here to talk about is Justified. I'm on the fence about my Wii U, and I'm more so slightly leaning to I find it hard to justify. That's forward in that. I'm going to quickly run through a couple more of these as well. That I'm only going to talk on maybe two more of the important ones at length. But I'll give you a quick example. The PlayStation Vita, I got it on day one, February 2012, when it released here in Europe. And to this day, I have 6 Vita games. 6 Vita games. I hated the fact that I couldn't turn down a Vita on day one because I wanted to wait. I wanted to buy the Vita eventually for Persona 4 Golden, which I have now, and I absolutely love. It's one of the best games I've ever played. But the fact is that I got the Vita on day one with Dungeon Hunter Alliance, and I played it for like 2 days, and then I didn't touch my Vita for a year until P4G came out. So You see my point. Now, 6 games. Okay, 6 games. I'd say about 3 of which I've actually finished because I never got around to finishing Trails of Cold Steel or even playing Trails of Cold Steel 2. But P4G was just so amazing that I find the Vita worth it. 3DS, same deal. You pick up the 3DS. I picked it up on day one. There was practically no games out. I picked up Pilot Wings Resort, played it for 2 days, and as we all know what happened within the first year or so of the 3DS, is a perfect example of my first year with the 3DS. I played it for 2 days and then I didn't play it for 8 months. So it's basically how it went. The PS4 gets a bit more use. It was my console of choice this generation, and all my friends play on PS4. So, well, they use that as their main console of choice as well. So, naturally, I've got 20, I mean, what do I have? 23 PS4 games. So, that's it is what it is on that. I do have I've upgraded to a PS4 Pro, which I deeply regret because it's a joke. But yeah, you get my point. It doesn't get as much use nowadays, especially since I upgraded to Windows 10. Kind of irrelevant for the PS4 version. But I have a Beast PC, so I use that. Because I don't play much of the multiplayer games and with my friends anymore, and there's not as much on the single player front, short of Persona 5, which is also amazing. Now, here's the next two where I kind of get in a bit iffy about this. The Nintendo Switch is being a big one at the moment for the simple reason is the Nintendo Switch is in a very weird place. It's the first ninth generation console. It's the weird home console slash hybrid, and unfortunately from a home console standpoint it is underpowered. There's no denying that whatsoever. It's understandable why they had to make that choice given the actual design philosophy they're using with the Nintendo Switch, with the whole portable aspect as well. You can't stick something of Xbox One or PS4 equivalent power in there and then expect it to run for more than 20 minutes on a battery. So it's understandable why they got a Tegra X1 and downclocked it. Anyway, that's beside the point. But because of all of that, and because the state of flux that the support in Nintendo Switch is in at the moment, there's the big question of, will it eventually get huge third-party support, or will it be like a Wii U and essentially you'll mostly be buying exclusives, the very few third-party exclusives that are developed for the Nintendo Switch, as well as just first-party Nintendo games, like the Wii U, for example, was for me. I don't think I have a single game on the Wii U that is available on other platforms, with the exception of Zombie U, because it was released on other platforms like several years later. Anyway, that's the Nintendo Switch. So I currently have 2 games on Nintendo Switch, and those are obviously Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I've put like 65, 70 hours into, and, oh god, what's my other one? Mario Kart Deluxe, which I should, well, see, I should know it, but I should have known it quicker, but I'm recording the audio separately from the video, so obviously yeah, you get my point. Now, the big problem is, within the first year of Nintendo Switch, or not the first year, before the end of 2017, because I don't know what's going to happen in January and February of next year, but as it stands at the moment, I will currently be buying 5 retail games for Nintendo Switch within the first 10 months. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I already have. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I already have. Later this month, I'm going to be getting Ultra Street Fighter 2 for a reason I won't get into. Week after that, I will have, oh god, what's it called? The Secret of Mana collection. I'm importing that from Japan just because Secret of Mana is my favorite game ever, and I can play it regardless of Japanese text or not. And later on in the year, of course, I will have Mario Odyssey. Now, they are the only 5 foreseeable games, with the exception of if Xenoblade Chronicles 2 does release this year, as well as Shin Megami Tensei, in whatever shape or form, but they're both currently pegged in for this year, but because they're so vague at the moment, I'm just counting the other 5. So, the Nintendo Switch it's still early, so my problem is, after the first 2 weeks of The Legend of Zelda, hell, even the first week and a half, because I put the 70-ish hours into it within a week and a half. My problem is that I didn't turn on my Nintendo Switch for another month and a half, until Mario Kart came out. And I'm going to be facing that situation again. I'm going to be a couple of weeks from Mario Kart to Ultra Street Fighter. God knows how long I'll stick with Ultra Street Fighter 4. Ultra Street Fighter 2 4, I should say. It was 4 as in FOR, not the number 4. And then I'm going to have obviously the Secret of Mana collection, and God knows how long that's going to do me. But after that, I'm going to have about 6 or 7 months, depending on when Mario releases. It's just Christmas at this year at some point. I'm probably not going to turn on my Switch again. Now, of course, over the next couple of years, the Switch can probably justify itself and all a bit more. I'm sure we'll probably have another Zelda game. Hopefully we get a Metroid game, a proper Metroid game. Hopefully we get a proper F-Zero game. Hopefully we get maybe another Mario game, maybe some cool Monster Hunter stuff. Some both first party and cool third party exclusive stuff. And maybe even proper third party games on there, although I probably wouldn't buy them on there, but either way. Now that brings me to the main reason I wanted to make this video, and that is the Xbox One. I've mentioned a few times before, and I've obviously used footage on here, that of course, as I have everything, because I play everything, I have an Xbox One. Now, how it went for me when I bought my Xbox One, I got it day one with Dead Rising 3. It also came with a digital copy of Forza, but I've played that like one race. But anyway, Dead Rising 3. I was really looking forward to Dead Rising 3. I played it a lot. I played it pretty hardcore for a while. And then I didn't play anything for like a year. So it came out in 2013. And then what? I think it was the Master Chief Collection. Came out in 2014. Would that be right? Yeah, 2014. And then it went like another year until I bought anything. And then it went like 6 months and then 6 months. So it's really hard to say if the Xbox One is justified for it. Now, I have got a decent amount of use out of my Xbox One over the last maybe, I was going to say 6 months, but since the end of 2015, because Halo 5 and then eventually Gears of War 4. Now, the big thing is now that Microsoft have the Xbox Play Anywhere program, several of my Xbox One games I now have on PC in better way, shapes, or form. Or I've also gone and then bought a PC version of it. For example, Quantum Break, when that released on Steam down the line, I bought the Steam version. So now, obviously I had it on Xbox One, and now I have a better version on Steam. Gears of War Ultimate Edition, when that came out in 2015? Yeah, I want to say 2015. Yeah, when I came out in 2015, I originally bought it on Xbox One, and recently, a couple of days ago, or a week ago, whenever it was, when I upgraded to Windows 10, I bought a digital copy of Gears of War Ultimate Edition on PC, so I now have a better version on there. My Halo Wars 2, when I bought it on Xbox One, I bought a digital copy, so I automatically have not an Xbox 10, a Windows 10 version of that on there as well. Gears of War 4, I specifically got a digital copy back when it came out because I knew I was going to be upgrading to Windows 10. In fact, Gears of War 4 was the game that made me want to upgrade to Windows 10. And it took me a couple of extra months to do it, but I finally done it and it's definitely worth it. But my point is that now my Xbox One is basically useless. So the only things I have that I would be even attempted to play at all on my Xbox One is Halo the Master Chief Collection. I'm a big Halo fan, and yes, I do get the urge every couple of weeks or every couple of months, whenever it is, to go back and randomly play some of the old Halo games. 1, 2, 3, ODST, 4, or sometimes even 5. Sometimes I play 5 Firefight just for, to kick back and all that. But when you look at it, and the fact that I plan on buying an Xbox One Scorpio, or at least that's the current plan, that could change, mainly because of everything you're hearing in this video, is not just the Xbox One, but consoles in general. It really makes, what is it worth at the time? Like, is the Xbox One worth it to me anymore? Is Project Scorpio going to be worth it to me if I'm playing almost everything on my PC, and I'm going to be playing it in what will likely be better quality on my PC? And I'm not bashing the Xbox One, I just have a beast PC, it's that simple. I realize the Scorpio is shaping up to be a pretty big beast as well, but 99% of the time I'm probably sure my PC will do better, and it will have better features and abilities that will appeal to me more. So I question it that way. How do you justify, if you were in my position, would you have been able to justify an Xbox One, thinking that, okay, I can buy a game on launch day and then I've basically nothing to play for a year, and then I've nothing to play for a year after that. PS4, for the first while when that came out, it was get the PS4, 6 months later, a game comes out to play. 6 months after that, a game comes out to play. And then it kind of picked up a little bit. But, where do you draw the line on your justification of paying money for a console? Will it be, are you okay with buying a Switch just for it to be a Zelda machine for basically a year, and then it just to be a Mario machine for the foreseeable future? Can you justify, or do you need to have 20 games within the first year to make it justifiable? Or do you need to be able to see an X amount of games for you to buy in the foreseeable future to make it justified? Because I know I waste a lot of money. I spend stupid amounts of stuff on stupid stuff. So that's why I'm always very curious to hear other people's justifications on it. Not so much justifications, but other people's opinions on where they draw the line for worth it or not worth it or worthless or whatever it is. So let me know in the comment section below where you draw the line, man. What would be justifiable for you? What could you not justify? Do you have a specific threshold? Whatever it is. Or even if you have an opinion on my examples of my history with it, or you can use your own, or you can use hypothetical ones that you haven't lived up to or have lived up to, whatever it is. Throw all that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.